Welcome to Compass Points, the podcast designed to help dentists and their teams find direction for peak practice performance. Special treat, listeners. Time for some real talk about leadership with an added dose of bathroom-level humor. Who doesn't need that? This Compass Points spotlight shines on Dr. Nelson Canning of Lawson, Missouri. For Dr. Canning, it's not about reading all the best leadership books or the teachings of every great thought leader. His style is framed by 5 points of what he refers to as authentic leadership. His pursuit to find the expert, willingness to own his mistakes, having a vision that ties into everything he does, understanding how to delegate, and leaning into and trusting the process of that delegation. The result is a growing endeavor with valued, empowered team members charging like rhinos toward their goals in a positive culture while enduring even the worst of his jokes. So listen, learn, and laugh with Dr. Nelson Canning and your host, Samantha Jones.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. About a year ago, a dentist was referred to me by a colleague. At the time, I thought I was going to be conducting a typical discovery call with a potential client who needed my help with a few things. I could never have imagined what kind of man I would be meeting in that call. I remember an instant synergy because I could hear the passion and protection this man had developed for his people, his patients, and his practices. It was refreshing, inspiring, and exciting. His name is Nelson Canning. And my friends, he is one of a kind. Nelson is the sole owner of a multi-location entity. He is a father and a husband and an authentic leader. He is giving, innovative, and funny as hell. In fact, if we get through this podcast without a poop reference, it will be a miracle. Nelson and I have had many powerful, productive, and collaborative conversations to date, and I am so grateful to have him here today to share his wisdom with all of you. Nelson, welcome, and thank you so very much for being here. One of the main reasons I wanted you to join us today is because I perceive you as an authentic leader. You really do try to do good by your team and your patients, and I admire that. So Nelson, tell us, what does authentic leadership mean to you?
Okay, I'm a little caught off guard with that. I thought we were talking about how to work with hygienists and do exams when they don't want you in their operatory. I didn't know we were going down this road. No, seriously, thank you so much for that. It's hard to hear compliments and hear kind things. I think that's just something like you said, don't get squirmy, but I get squirmy when you hear that, but I'm super grateful for that. Just side note, I'm not answering your question, clearly. I'm dodging it. Yesterday during a hygiene exam, and you said poop, so I'm going to say another word. Doing an exam, and this patient is leaned back. She's full of energy, and she talks about her husband. She goes, my husband, I love him. He's a badass. And I'm like, wow, that is such a great compliment. I'm like, I wonder if my wife would call me a badass. That wasn't what she called me. She was complimentary in other ways, kind of made me squirm. So, but I didn't make the badass type of compliment there. So,
You did.
Okay. So to answer your question, what is authentic leadership? I don't know. I think it's just being me and just knowing your limitations. For me, that's what it means. I wish I was like a leadership guru and had something really cool to define it. But to me, it's just what's your gut say? And I think your gut is really important. And so that's what I think it is. It's just kind of understanding and taking enough time to listen to yourself and being like, this is what's right and what's wrong. So yeah, I wish I had a sweeter definition for that one.
I actually think that you saying it that way really resoundingly defines exactly what it is. And the truth of the matter is, I think we think about it a little too much. And, a lot of people that I work with and that are in our orbit are leaders. They are leading a group of people and they're trying to figure out leadership, right? They're looking for this magic answer of, how do I lead these people? You went to school and you learned dentistry, and now you're doing clinical dentistry, working in millimeters, and also leading people. And in our industry, I think we oftentimes really search to try to figure out what that means. And authentic leadership is really what you just said. It's about showing up as just who you are and deciding that you're going to do your best to identify the right path and do the right thing and listen to your gut and all of that. So I think that that's the perfect answer for authentic leadership because it's organic and it's real. I love
Yeah.
that.
I think
That's
it's
good.
funny because like I grew up in a town that graduated with 76 kids, so it wasn't hard to possibly stand out a little bit. And then so like you keep going, you go to college, and then just leadership's always sort of followed me in some ways. And it wasn't until actually I graduated college that I really understood that I wanted to be a student of leadership and what it really meant. Even though I'd been in leadership programs growing up, it was just sort of, you just, if no one else was going to take the job, you stick up and you're like, I'll do it. And so maybe that's how I became, quote, a leader in a lot of ways. But it's once I really put my mind and like, oh my gosh, yeah, like being a student of it and understanding it. And it has a lot to do with not just like what to say, but like, who are you and what are your gifts and what are not your gifts? That's when leadership kind of became fun. But then there was a lot of responsibility with it too, that is not fun. There's a lot of leadership that sucks. It really does.
That's
And
true.
just getting comfortable in the suckiness is somewhat of, I'm not comfortable with it in a lot of ways, but being the owner, like you kind of have to do that
There's no
in a lot of
skirting
ways.
around
So
it.
no, not at all.
So,
But
what are some of the things that you have done throughout the course of your career to cultivate your leadership? You said that you've tried to be a student of leadership. How have you cultivated that over the years? It sounds like you had some leadership when you were younger in high school, and it's always just kind of been something that leadership has apparently attracted itself to you in different formats or ways. But you've been aware of that and conscious of that, and you are committed to being a student of it. What are you doing to cultivate your leadership? What do you seek?
I don't read much at all, but I will podcast and I will listen to an audiobook kind of all the time. Like I love it. I have a few people that I love to listen to and just people that I look up to that I've never met before, but they just fill you with good information and good thoughts. So those are the ways that I really look for it. And I'd like to say that I surround myself by other people, but I'm actually, I don't in a lot of ways. I'm not a guy that's like, I'm involved in this organization, and like trying to rub elbows with great leaders. I probably should. Actually, I'll take that back. I know I should, but it's just not something I do. But I love listening to podcasts. I love podcasts and just getting tidbits of information, one-liners. I'm like, that is good stuff. And, as a leader, like I give credit to the leadership that I've heard from people, but I steal it all the time. I mean, there's so many people that are a whole heck of a lot smarter than I am and do a whole lot better than I do. But I'm like, oh yeah, that's good stuff. I think I can use that. I want to use that. Like for me, Nelson, like their quotes and the things they say, I'm like, I need that for Nelson. And like, if I think it's good for me, it's good for my team and for the people that I'm surrounded by. So yeah, I think I'm a big consumer, sometimes too much of a consumer, because it's easy to get like, oh, I want to do this. And then I want to do that. So I'm a squirrel, you know that.
Yes,
and
I
like,
do.
yeah, if it's shiny, I'm going after it. Not a good leadership trait, but I do, I think there's all kinds of fun things to try and to use with yourself. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think that one thing I've noticed about you, which is probably why I feel like I do perceive you as an authentic leader, is I do think that you are not afraid to consume information, to grow and learn and all of that. And that makes you kind of squirrely at times where you're like, that's a great idea. I want to do that. But in your authentic leadership, I have seen you control how you push that onto other people, knowing the pace in which you go is what's actually going to bring you the outcome that you're actually seeking. And I've seen you figure that out over and over and over again, which is one of the reasons why I perceive you as an authentic leader. You're listening to your gut. You're telling yourself, I know if I say one more thing about this new idea that I have, these people are going to hit the road.
Yeah, they're out of here. And I'm like, oh, I'm not going to hear that. They'll just keep talking about that. Yeah, I better not say that. Better not do that.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, but on the flip side, Sam, is like, I'm grateful. I mean, we spend every week together for not quite a year, but real close to it. But like you and people in my life tell me who I am. Sometimes you look in the mirror and you're like, oh, this is who you are. But then it's nice to have people like, hey, buddy, maybe you should look at it this way. Maybe what you're seeing is not true. And so like, I think that part of being a leader, let's say that I don't rub elbows with like great leaders, but I do have like really important people in my life that will say, maybe you need to think about it this way, or this is how it's really going down. And I think that's important. I'm surrounded by people that I think care about me and care about my vision a lot. I don't want to be surrounded by yes men.
Yeah.
And which is interesting because it's an industry of all women. I am surrounded by some freaking amazing women, honestly, that help me grow as a leader and support me. And I think I'd like to say respect me. If they're listening right now, they're like, oh no, what a schmuck. No, but like, so they believe in what we're trying to do in the business, and they believe in our culture, and they believe in not just Nelson, they believe in what's bigger than us. So I think that's really good. And it helps me lead that way because I know it's not all mine. Like I don't want possession of it all, even though that it's mine, but I hope that they think that it's theirs because that's what I would want if I worked for someone is I would want ownership in something and to be able to have a say, to be able to say, I don't just clock in and clock out.
Yeah.
And that's what I want for them.
I love that. I think that that is a great segue into something that I hear you talking all about all the time, that really embodies what I believe you're trying to say here, which is vision. And you've taken a lot of time to get clear on what it is that you're doing, where it is that you're headed, how the people around you that are doing this thing with you are a part of that, and they're not just pawns but they're truly contributing and truly receiving from that vision. And I love that. I think it's really important in any business, in any industry, for us to recognize where are we going and what are we doing, who's a part of this with us, and how do we hold space for that and those people in the pursuit of this vision. And I've had the pleasure of reading your vision and what you guys are after. And after spending so much time with you and your team, I feel like I'm a part of it. I feel inclusive of that vision. And I think that that's the culture that you're creating. I'm curious if you would share some ideas on vision. And when you started to sit down with your thoughts about this journey that you're on in your entrepreneurship and your leadership, this is something that a lot of dentists particularly really actually struggle with, Nelson, in terms of really taking all of those thoughts in your head about what you want to do and where you want to go, and then creating this like tangible vision of how to get there and what that includes. Where was your headspace, and how did you take that noise and put it somewhere that you could then share with your team? How do you feel like you've accomplished that?
We have a mutual friend, and it was her. So my story is that I bought my dad's practice, that he'd been there for 150 years. And so like me coming in to work with him, and I had a different goal than what he had. He was a great dentist, but I knew that I wanted to do something different. And she made me write this vision to get all the thoughts out. And I mean, since then I've learned like vision is something that is a gift of mine. And I don't say that in a boastful way, but like, that's how I see the world. I can see something, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what needs to happen. I don't know how to get there a lot of times. Like to actually make it happen is a real struggle. And it is something that takes a lot of energy that I have to sit down and get going. But she's like, this vision is the most important part. You have to do this. And I wrote it and I'm like, I kind of slapped some stuff on. And she's like, not good enough. Do it again. Okay. Be more thoughtful in this area. Be more thoughtful in this area. And she like prompted me with good, solid questions. And it was hard to take what I saw in my mind and actually articulate it so that it could be read, that I could reread it. Every time that I reread it, I'm like, oh, forgot about that. And then I'm like, oh, I forgot about that, but look how cool that is. That was written in 2014. And like, we're doing it, or we're in the pursuit, or I see that in myself. I see that in the team, or we don't align with that. We've kind of gotten off the mark and we can come back to it. It is ridiculously helpful for me to have that because it's the guide for me in so many ways. And it's a reminder too. And it's funny though, as how many years since 2014, it's evolved and there are other parts that are true yet have not been true. But it's been interesting to see how we've come in a different way that still reflects what I want to do and what people believe in. So like that vision is huge. You don't come and work for us until you've read it.
Yeah.
You just don't do it. I had a guy that interviewed this week as an assistant, and I'm telling you, he's a stud. Everything about him, like, you need to work for me. Well, he's such a stud. As soon as he came in, he just wanted to work and like help out as a team. And I'm like, okay, here's the deal. I'm going to tell you the process. You sit in this interconsult room, you read this. But he heard us, like we had huddle. He was a part of that, and he didn't go back and read it. And here we're at the end of the day. And actually, we went a little bit late. He stayed. It's the end of the week. He's going on vacation, and I could tell he was wanting to get out of there. I'm like, did you read the vision? He's like, no, man. I was like, okay, I'm going to tell you I'm not going to hire you. I said, unless you read this vision, either you come back or you stay. Like, it's not going to happen. He's like, let me come back. I'm like, okay, I don't know how to take that. Like to me, I'm like, just read it and get out of here, right? I needed him to read it. I need
Yeah.
him to do that. It's important to me because I have had one person that has come through the gates without reading the vision and like not necessarily a good fit.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they totally know about me too. Yes, they've been exposed to it, but that process, and I just think it's a reflection of maybe my importance or like, oh, we can bypass it. And it's a reflection. So anyway, called him today and he's like, let me read that vision. He's like, I want to come back. I'll see you next Wednesday. So check that box and we can move on. But like my gut says, don't start without that, Nelson. Don't do it.
I love
And I
that.
want him to know. So
And as we identified in the beginning of this conversation, that gut feeling is what creates authentic leadership, which is where it's at. So I
yeah.
love that. For me, in terms of, I spend a lot of my time on the balcony or in that 30,000-foot view, talking with practices and dentists and all of that. And I have recognized just the vast difference that there is in the culture of a practice when there is vision and when there is not vision. And it's real. It's a very tangible, obvious thing when I see a practice that hasn't spent the time, or, you know, a dentist or an owner who hasn't spent the time really articulating that in a way that people can understand and then decide, like, I like that, it resonates, it's part of me, I can be here. And I think it's the roadmap to finding the right people, to operating efficiently, to profitability, to having happy patients that enjoy their experience, to work-life balance. It's really the roadmap that answers all of those things, because we know, do we need to take a left here? We need to go straight, or that's not part of this. And it's huge. You know, I know in our conversations, there's been a lot of times where tying that into whatever it is that we're talking about or coaching through has been, you know, the framework. It gives us a starting point or a jumping off point when we're trying to solve problems or create new things or grow or any of that. It's really important. And I appreciate you sharing today, because again, it's really hard for some people, but I'm pretty sure I heard you say it's really important and most people should do it, right? You said that, right?
Yeah, totally did. You were listening. I don't know what comes out of my mouth. Yes, you always hold me accountable to that.
One of the things that you talk a lot about is the pursuit of the expert. What does that mean?
I mean, I could say like maybe it's my own laziness is like I don't want to be the expert in everything. And it's a capacity thing. You know, in the vision, I don't know if I could say it like articulate it exactly, but I want to be the expert dentist. And I should have written, and I didn't know where like we would go in our vision. And that was when we had one practice. I was a young dentist, you know, just trying to figure out how to hold a handpiece. And I just wanted to be the expert dentist. I do believe in being surrounded by people that are better than me. So I don't want to be the expert hygienist. I don't want to be the expert assistant. I don't want to be the expert insurance coordinator, scheduler, blah, blah, blah. I want to be that. And ultimately, like, I want you to be that. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
when I was getting to dental school, I was an assistant. That's a freaking hard job. That is
Right.
a hard job. And you can't just sit there and suck spit and yeah, okay, that's great. You're the expert spit sucker. Like, come on. You're worth more than that. Like you totally are. Like there's just so much more. And I think that like dentists, like why do you not let people who are built and designed to be amazing creatures, humans, let them be themselves and like do good stuff with themselves? I just think that like we need to give that away and not think that this is just my opinion. Like, what's the movie Hangover? I'm just a dentist. Like, look, I don't know. I'm just a dentist. That's all I got. No, you are. You're just a dentist. Sometimes I think we're more important than we think we are. Like, we are surrounded by excellent, excellent people. Like, let them be excellent. And I want that for our team is to become excellent and define that for their own life. And in my belief is that's why they keep coming back,
Mm-hmm.
is that they have ownership. I am needed at that place. I'm
Yeah.
needed and I'm wanted too. So, yeah, I mean, this pursuit of being an expert. And I think there's a lot of me, I have a lot of weaknesses, but I get very impatient with people who aren't wanting to become experts. It's super frustrating because you've read it. There's a book, Rhinoceros Success. And for anybody who's listening to this, go get it. Super easy read, under 2 hours. It's a day read, super
Yep.
easy. And it's like you're either a rhino or a cow. And the simple thing is like rhinos are charging. Like they're just going. They're big, beastly creatures that are charging after life. Or you're a cow just grazing through, just ho humming. And like, what do you want to be? You want to be the cow that's going to go to slaughter? You want to be a rhino? It's like, I almost cussed. I can't do that. It's probably PG. Yeah, sorry.
You can cuss. It's
Well, wait, wait,
okay.
wait. You
I
said I
said
might say
hell.
poop.
It's
You
true.
did.
Free
So I'm
pass.
gonna say it. I don't know if we have to edit this or not, but like, do you want to go through life like tearing up shit and like getting after it? Like, how awesome is that? Sorry. But like that seems more fun than just like sitting there eating grass. And I am a cow in some portions of my life, and then I am also a rhino. Like I think it's like I wish I was more of a rhino all the time, but I want people to charge through life and love it and not
Yeah.
just like wait for the last day. That's what I want for mine. So yeah.
I love that. I think that's so important. And like amazing things happen when you're cultivating experts in your business. And speaking from just like the capacity point of view, and also just something that's really prevalent in our industry, which is burnout and depression and suicide. If you have all of those things that are real and true around us in our industry, creating experts, cultivating experts, empowering experts is part of the answer. It's really important to know that you don't have to be the expert all the time. You don't have to know everything. None of us do. None of us have to be the expert at all things. In fact, I don't know. I'm probably going to screw up the saying, but I'm pretty sure somebody out there really smart said something about you can't be an expert at all things. There's something out there. I don't know what the quote is, Nelson. You probably do.
Well, no, I don't. But I mean, it's true that, I mean, you spread yourself so thin.
Yeah.
There's just no way. We all have a limited capacity. And so, like, there's just no way. There's no way. I know that I have spread myself thin in my dentistry, trying to learn everything. And you can't get good at everything. You know, like the people that are probably the most successful are the ones that, like, I am laser focused on this. And they go after it, right?
Yeah.
And my personality is like, if it's shiny, I'm chasing it. And so, like, you spread yourself thin, you can't become the expert. And I've learned and had a hard time, honestly, like cultivating the experts. I want it. And someone really wise told me, like, if you want someone to do it your way, you kind of have to show them. I don't know who that would be. It might be the person I'm staring at the screen here. But I'm like, what's sad is like, you're saying I'm an authentic leader and like a student of leadership. I'm like, oh my gosh, how have I not slowed down to just because I say it doesn't mean that people understand it. You have to show them that. And that's been hugely impactful for me recently is like, Nelson, did you show them what you wanted? Did you take time? And it may feel redundant. And I know my team's like, why is he doing this right now? It's because I want to be super clear and give them the chance to, if I want it my way and to let them truly delegate. You know, one thing as a leader is, or dentist, I don't know what it is, but like you have these super high expectations of yourself and then on other people. And I think that can sometimes squash this, like this desire to be an expert because they don't think they're good enough.
Right.
And like, how crappy is that to put that on someone? Like, I don't ever want people to feel that way. So when you told me, like, Nelson, you need to do a better job showing them what you want, then it's being the rhino. Like, my rhino statement is, like, I develop faith-filled leaders to develop $10,000 day dentists. Like, that's what I want to try to do. Well, I can't just say that and have it on my phone as a reminder every day unless I'm showing them what a faith-filled leader is so they can help develop $10,000 day dentists. And I'm like, yeah, big boy. Sorry, I call myself big boy sometimes. And big papa. At least Siri does. But so like you have to slow down and like show them and be more intentional with that. And that's a piece of advice. Like, you know, you gave that to me. Like, I want to make sure I do not let go of that life pearl for myself to create these experts. So
yeah,
what were we talking about?
That we were talking about all of that. Yes.
Okay.
No, I think you're right on. I think that you're creating right now the algorithm for a lot of people that are listening today that have struggled to let go. I think a lot of this is a little bit of letting go, like letting go and knowing that you don't have to do it all. You are paying people every single day to help you with the work that needs to get done. And so to level it up, you've got to spend the time and show them what's in the mind's eye around the vision and all of the things that you say that you want and the places that we're heading, and help them get clear, because clarity is kindness. Thanks, Brene Brown. She wrote a great book on being clear and intentional with our words and how kind it is to just do that. And therefore, the outcome of all of that is our ability to actually travel the actual path of the roadmap we created, that vision. It's good stuff. Really, really good stuff. I appreciate this so much. So Nelson, at the Compass Points podcast, we always ask a signature question as we're sort of wrapping up. And I'm excited to hear.
Wait, we're almost done? What? This could be a record of our conversation. It really could be. We should do
side B.
You want to
We should do side B real soon. No, we've got to finish
Uh,
side A and then we'll do
uh,
side B.
okay. Yeah. No, this is good. Like, this is literally a record. Like, this is great. Sorry. Not that I don't enjoy our time together, but this is
I
good
love
for
it.
us.
Good
Yeah.
for yay
Sorry.
us. High
Interrupt.
fives.
High five. Air five.
Okay, so you're not going to get away from this one. So here's the question. I would like to know if you were a compass and you had 4 points of direction to give all of humankind, what would they be?
Okay. So my first one is like north is, and I'm sure this is not okay for me to say, but it's important to me. But my faith in Jesus,
Mhm.
it's important. It's my source for grace. It's my desire to treat people as humans. It's my sense that I'm enough. And sometimes as a dentist, like dentists have crappy confidence. Like we're freaking weirdos. And by that relationship with my faith is that like I was designed to be something. I was put as this upper middle class white guy in Lawson, Missouri to do something for people on this earth. And like that is my true north for me. And I'll tell you, like, my compass gets all kinds of cattywampus too. Like I said shit on your podcast. So please don't think that I am a holy roller. I mean, like I love my relationship with my faith and it's growing and it's been something that since I was a little kid, been exposed to. Like that is it. Like
I
it
love
is
that.
what keeps me who I am. So I think that for me is my north. And it's in my vision subtly. It's in every retreat I have, is it's subtly there, but I want people to know like this is what I live for and I believe in it. So that's my north. Let's
I
move on.
love it.
Okay.
I love it.
Altar call. Okay, so okay, so there, yeah, faith in Jesus. And then my next one is just to be joyful, not happy, but true joyful. And my best friend, Matthew McConaughey, which he doesn't know who I am. So yeah, he doesn't know who
That
I am.
weird
But
one
after
way best friend relationship. I love it.
it is. It's going to be super awkward. I have a man crush on Matthew McConaughey, maybe Justin Bieber and Justin Timberlake. But we'll stop there, right
That's
there. Those
that's it.
guys. Who?
No
Yeah,
more man crushes on this podcast. We're gonna save the
they don't
rest of
respond
them.
to my. No, they don't respond to my text. But anyway, in his book Green Lights, like he talks about like the difference between happiness and joyful, and like what joy is. And happiness is the pursuit of something, and joy is just like what's inside. And I think that I'm always pursuing something, but it's not like what's gonna make me happy. So like being joyful and looking for joy is really important to me because it's a light. It really is. I think people enjoy being around joyful people. And it takes effort to be joyful. I tell my team a lot, like I'm grumpy when I get up, but like when I cross the threshold to this business, I should do it at home too, because I'm not always joyful at home. Like raising kids is hard, but
Mm-hmm.
I need to be joyful. You need me to be a joyful leader. That's
Mm-hmm.
important. I can't be a grumpy bastard and
Mm-hmm.
lead you.
Right.
And so that's one. And then the other one would be humility and transparency. My one of the sisters that works with me, April, she hates it when I say this, when she's like, hey, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. She's like, I can't believe you say that. I'm like, but I don't. And I think that that's important is like, I don't have the answers. When I talk to a patient with treatment plans, when they ask me like, so what's going to happen? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, here's what could happen. I don't know when it's going to happen, but this is the possibility of the condition I found. And I just want you to know. And I don't know. And I don't want you to think that I do know. So, but if we want a treatment plan, I'm on board with that if you're on board with it. And I just think that that humility and just being transparent with people is so, so critical. One guy that I follow, his name is Craig Groeschel. He has an awesome leadership podcast. And this is totally his word is people would rather follow a leader who is always real than one who is always right. And I
Mm-hmm.
tried to be right early in my life. And leadership sucked.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I don't want to be right all the time, I mean, don't get me wrong, it feels good to be right, but
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be. I don't need to be right. It doesn't need to be there. So,
It's
like, that one's
actually
big
very
for me.
liberating to not carry the burden of always being right. That's very
It's,
liberating.
it is
Yeah.
so much better. Like, it's better in
Mhm.
my marriage, it's better
Yeah.
in my fatherhood. I mean, you could talk to my team, and I've made so many mistakes. What I thought was right and what I had to do, I didn't have to do that. If I would have just been like, I think this is what we need to do. I think the answers, and there would not have been friction in relationships and hurt people, but I can't go back on that. So don't be right.
Yeah.
Don't be right. Say, I
Yeah.
don't know, as much as you can, and just let people know that you don't have a freaking clue what you're doing. You're making it up as you go along, and it's fine. It is fine. People like, it's fine. And then the last one is like, focus on your culture. Like
Mm-hmm.
I say it a lot is, I can't get another job. This is it. And I want to surround myself by people that I want to be around. And it's a very selfish motive, but I want a great culture because I want to go to work in a fun place, in a great place, the people that are rhinos or want to try to be rhinos. And so we believe, I hope that my team would say that they believe in this. It's the only thing that makes us different. It's it.
Yeah.
We all do fillings. We all
Hmm.
do crowns. We all do blah, 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 blah. We're dentists. Nobody likes us anyway. But I mean, they don't. But it's the culture. That's our business is we
Yeah.
sell us. And I think that when you focus on that and you give it to people and you let them have the culture and don't possess it,
Hmm.
then you just see like amazing things happen. That it's
Yeah.
important who works there and it corrects a lot of things on its own. It does. It's just kind of like a machine that when someone's, I don't want to say out of line, people kind of weed themselves out a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's not in a mean way. I don't mean that in a bad way. It's like, I don't fit in here. And then there's a better opportunity. And so I think focus on your culture and making that a big part. Yeah, the dentistry is cool. It's important. We should do all these efficient things, blah. But just be a great place and your patients will feel it. I think they
Yeah.
do. And they enjoy you. They know something's different. So yeah.
Love it.
So
I
that's it.
um I have definitely felt it. I've spent time in hundreds of dental practices, and your culture is palpable, and I appreciate it. I admire it. I'm grateful to be a part of it, and I think that you are doing some very, very good work, and I'm very, 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 very happy for you that you figured some of these very important things out. You're still a very young guy, and you've got some other things on the horizon for your life ahead of you. And I am so excited to see where you go and all of the people that you bless along the way, because you do exude joy, and you are an authentic leader, and you have cultivated and continue to cultivate an awesome culture. And it has been an absolute pleasure to spend time with you today and share you with so many people that need to hear some of these things that you've said, because there's a lot of people seeking some of these same things. So thank you for being a light and a gift in the world of dentistry, in the world in general. And I cannot wait to record side B of our record
Love it.
together, because I feel
You
like
just called
there's,
us young, but now you're referring to a record.
I
Side B, like just I mean, like that's not what no, I mean it's like
listen,
there's no side B
Nelson.
to like a huh?
Yeah, we can, we're still young. I mean, ish, right?
I'm gonna have to say a strong ish on that. Like it gets even further away from young. It's weird. Like, yes, I am, but like, oh my gosh, it's
Eh,
not
we're kind of
this
old. We're
they're
we're
kind of
kind
old.
of old. Just only
Yeah, oh
kind
kind
of.
of. Just a minute of old.
Just a minute
But
of old.
yeah.
Just a minute of
Yeah, and
old.
me too. I have a question.
Yeah.
Am I famous now? Because my son was like, wait, dad, you're gonna be on a podcast? I mean, like, so
Yes.
I am
Yes.
famous.
You're
All
totally
right.
famous,
I
and
love it.
I can't wait. Yeah. So listen, listeners, we've got to make Nelson famous. I want you to, comment on the podcast. You got to share it everywhere. This baby has to go viral because he's famous now. So
Did you think like Matthew McConaughey is gonna like actually call me or respond to my?
we're gonna
I
tag
mean, I've
him.
really never reached.
We're
Yeah,
gonna we're gonna
totally
tag
tag
him in
him.
this and see what
I hope he's a
happens.
cool guy. I mean, his voice is cool. I don't really know. I loved his book, but I hope he's not like, if we become friends, I'm like, oh man, he's such a, I don't want to hang out with him.
Yeah, that would be
He's Matthew's.
disappointing.
It totally would be if he's like, Matthew's calling again. I'm like, decline. And I'd
I
love to hang out with Bieber, but my wife loves him so much that I don't know
That's
that
threatening. That's very
it
threatening.
totally,
Yeah.
I mean, he's,
Yeah, you don't
and
want
his
that.
dancing, dang it, his dancing
Fine.
in those tight
It's
pants.
dancing.
So I can't compete.
Oh my gosh. Okay, everybody. I'm sure you can tell why it was absolutely necessary that Nelson be on this podcast. And I'm pretty sure we're going to have a lot of requests for you to come back. So
Oh,
clear
yeah.
your schedule. We're going to have to do this again. Fun.
Seriously, and you can't edit this out. Like, I got to tell you, like, how awesome you are. You and what the work you do, it's awesome. It's meaningful. And the people that you've impacted in my practice, it's awesome. Like you've got a gift of organization. Like you can take a squirrel like myself and like, hey, pal, like So like I'm not this is not a plug for you, but like just a super authentic thank you publicly since I'm famous now, and I hope that gets traction for you. Um,
I love you. You're so
no, I
funny.
mean just like you know how much I respect the work you do for us and for me. You are a person that I am glad to be walking. You are a leader. You're one of the leaders out there that I get to rub elbows with. I didn't even think. Sorry, Sam.
It's
I didn't
all
even
right.
think about that. I'm a jerk.
No.
Yeah. No,
Thank,
but I mean, I hope it's coming across like, yeah, you're a badass.
thank you.
You're a badass. So
I
thanks for being a
appreciate that.
badass. Yeah.
Thank
Sorry
you
for
very
cussing.
much.
Edit.
No,
bleep.
no edits. We like the word badass on this podcast.
Okay.
So we
Nice.
thank you for all of those kind words. I appreciate that. It's been one of the greatest pleasures of my career, truly, to work with you and your team. So thank you for all of those nice words. And to everyone listening today, thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, be well.